Well, hello. Today I want to talk about, and you have a handout in your member site. We talked about emotions, and the title was How Your Mind Controls Fat Burning and Healing. But I really want to take it to the next level. There's a saying that it all begins with our thoughts. You know how I love the expression of your thoughts are powerful, but your words are spells. It begins with a thought, then that thought becomes your words, then your words become your action, then your action becomes your behavior. Those behaviors start to create habits, and those habits start to create your character, and that character is going to determine what your destiny and what your future's like. And it all started with a thought. And so we say we are only limited by our thoughts because they do create our reality. So we have to have a clear vision of what our future is. And that's why when we started this, I always want to know, what does that look like to you? What does it look like in 3 months? What does it look like in 6 months? What does it look like a week from today? So, if a thought is a belief we keep thinking, and we have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and out of those, 90% are the same as yesterday, don't you think there's a connection with how important our thoughts are? I was researching this, and I was just like, wow, that really hit me, as I'm explaining this to you, because if you really believe that your thoughts are somehow connected to your future, to your reality, then those thoughts are going to lead to the same choices that you make every day. Those choices are going to lead to the same behaviors. Those same behaviors are going to lead to the same experiences. And then those same experiences are going to produce those same emotions. And guess what? Those emotions are going to produce and drive those same thoughts. And it all goes back to your thoughts. So therefore, your biology, your neurochemistry, I say your neural hormones, your genetic expressions, all of those are going to be equal on how you think, how you feel, and how you act. That's it. It's pretty simple, right? You're like, whoa. So I wrote down here, and if you think about that, and so how you think and how you feel is your personality. Your personality creates your personal reality. That's pretty powerful. Listen to that again. And how you think and how you act and how you feel and your personality, that creates your personal reality. So that's pretty powerful. And so if you want to create a new personal reality, then you have to create a new personality. They're like, well, how do I do that? I got to create a new personality. Like I said, we have to become a new person. And the way we become a new person is going to be through our mind. And it's pretty interesting. I was pulling up some of the research, and how do you do that? How do you create, how do I create a person new reality? As I mentioned, we got to start thinking about what you've been thinking about. So what are you thinking about? And if it's something that's not serving you, then we have to change it. And it's that easy, see, because we'll have to start to become aware of these unconscious thoughts and just observe them. Sometimes we don't even take the time to do that. And when we start becoming, when we start to pay attention to those automatic habits and the behaviors, and then we start to modify, that's when things start to change. So we have to look at our emotions every single day. And that's where that gratitude journal comes in, because all our emotions are connected. I always say with the past, and those emotions are going to decide if you get to decide if those emotions are in your future. So for instance, if you're thinking right now, oh, I'm depressed. I've always been depressed. And if that's been part of your past and you don't want it to be part of your future, then what does it make? Doesn't it make sense that I better stop thinking about the depression, or I better stop thinking about, or I wouldn't even say better, I get to start thinking about something different. So I wanted to explain a few things because a lot of people, they try to create, they say, they try to create something different with the same personality, and it doesn't work that way. You know, I want to create a new personal reality, but I'm trying to do it with the same personality. It doesn't work that way. And you literally have to become someone else. As I mentioned the other night, that look at Madonna, she's reinvented herself how many different times because she becomes a new person. It's like actors. They sometimes get so engrossed in their character and their role that physiologically their body changes because they become that queen or that king or whomever. And a prime example was when Jim Carrey played the role of Andy Kaufman. It was kind of scary because he was doing some things that Andy Kaufman would do, and I'm sure you can Google that on the internet. It just kind of freaked people out. It's like, wow, he didn't even realize he was doing it because he had become a new person. He almost embodied that person. So the cool thing about, our brain is amazing. But our brain, I mean, it's organized in such a sense to remember everything. The other time we did a little try to do some clearing of the mind. Remember, I keep saying your brain, it's almost like we have file cabinets of everything that's ever been shown to us, said to us, that we've ever heard. And I mean, that's really, it's a record of the past. That's what your brain is. It records everything that you've learned, that you experience. And so if you're waking up every single morning on the same side of the bed, you get up, you brush your teeth, you hop in the shower, you scrub your body, you get up, you go in to the kitchen, you drink some water, you kick the cat out of the way, you kick the dog out of the way, and you're doing everything the same. You go to work, you irritated by the same person because they say the same thing, and then you come back home, you drive the same way home. What's for dinner, honey? Oh, you burned it again. You haven't learned anything new. It's just like you're doing the same thing all the time, and you're not learning something new, and then you're going to bed and you're expecting something different to happen, but nothing different did happen. So it's kind of crazy. In neuroscience, this is called neurons that fire together, wire together. Pretty simple, right? Think about that. Neurons that wire together, fire together, wire together. And then they start building such a strong network, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, that they become your programs, and they're subconscious programs that you're running on all the time. And so your body gets used to this, and it's like driving to work, and you're like, how did I get here? You don't even remember how you got here, because your body knows now better than your brain what to do. And that's a scary thought. Overeating, anything like that, any bad habits that we have, but even good habits. So if you want to change the bad habits, then we got to create different programs. So all we become is just a set of memorized behaviors, memorized emotions, unconscious habits, beliefs. Those, by the time we're age 35, they're in our program. They're so much in our DNA. So because they're subconscious, then this is the beauty of it. When you learn something new every day, your brain is actually creating new networks, new pathways. And the key is, though, that back in 2000, one of the Nobel Prize winners was saying, who was that? Kendall. Kendall said that when people learn just one bit of information, they double it from their connections the brain connections went from 1,300 to 2,600. However, they would have to maintain that and be able to explain it to somebody else. But if it wasn't, then they lose it usually within an hour or a couple days. So when you leave, or when you're writing notes, when you're learning something, now go back and listen to it again and write it down if you have to, so you can explain it to someone. That's when you own it. So I write a lot down. I listen to something and I write it down a lot. So that's what learning is. It's just learning new connections. So how are we going to get from here to here? Well, that's where having a vision comes in. That's where having a purpose comes in. That's where coming a why. And it has to be so huge. And that's when you start to become, you see it, you feel it, you own it. And when I shared about those different vibrational frequency, love and joy being the highest vibrational frequency, you can create almost anything, because you're just like in a different level, and you think differently and you feel differently, and emotionally your body's creating different chemical reactions that are going to allow you to do things that you've never done before. That's why thoughts control how quickly we heal, from everything from our weight to our hormones, because once again it goes back to those thoughts and our emotions. So keep that in mind for the next time.